Alright, language explorers, so let's have a look at some strange things with the British English ASMR accent and tea with my mug from Mexico. So let's look at historic things. So, burned house horizon. A horizon which consumed cultures in the Balkans and around the Black Sea. In the archaeology of Neolithic Europe, the burned house horizon is the geographical extent of the phenomenon of presumably intentionally burned settlements. Okay, interesting. Very Ukraine, Eastern Europe, and Balkans. All right. This was a widespread and long-lasting tradition in what is now southeastern and Eastern Europe, lasting from earlier 6,500 BCE, the beginning of the Neolithic in that region, to as late as 2000, the end of the Chalcolithic and the beginning of the Bronze Age. A notable representative of this tradition is the Cuchutenin Tripilian culture, which was centered on the burned house horizon both geographically and temporarily. Okay, right. Okay, interesting. Okay, right. Cadaver Sinden. Ooh. A deceased pope was exhumed and put on trial. What is going on here? Okay, interesting. Cadaver trial. Name commonly given to the ecclesiastical trial of Pope Formosus, who had been dead for about 7 months in the Basilica of St. John Laurenti in Rome during January 897. The trial was conducted by Pope Stephen VI, the successor to Formosus' successor, Pope Boniface VI. Stephen had Formosus' corpse exhumed and brought to the papal court for judgment. He accused Formosus of perjury and having been acceded to the papacy illegally. At the end of the trial, Formosus was pronounced guilty and his papacy retroactively declared null. Okay, if you insist. Okay, all right, interesting. Okay, interesting. Okay. Crockerland Expedition. This sounds familiar. The Crockerland Expedition took place in 1913. Its purpose was to investigate the existence of Crocker Island, a huge island supposedly sighted by explorer Robert Peary. Okay, at the top of Cape Colgate, 1906. It is now believed that Peary fraudulently invented the island. Okay. Dancing Plague of 1518. In 1518, around 400 people took to dancing for days without rest, and over the period of about 1 month, some of those affected died of heart attack, stroke, or exhaustion. Dancing Plague 1518. Okay, interesting. Dancing Epidemic 1518 was a case of dancing mania that occurred in Strasbourg, Alsace, modern-day France, in the Holy Roman Empire from July 1518 to September 1518. Somewhere between 50 to 400 people took to dancing for days. Okay, so the outbreak began in July 1518 when a woman began to dance fervently in the street in Strasbourg. By early September, the outbreak began to subside. Historical documents including physician notes, cathedral sermons, local and regional chronicles, and even notes issued by the Strasbourg City Council are clear that victims danced. It is not known why. Historical sources agree that there was an outbreak of dancing after a single woman started dancing. A group of mostly young women joined in, and the dancing did not seem to die down. It lasted for such a long time that it attracted the attention of Strasbourg magistrate and bishop, and some number of doctors ultimately intervened, putting the afflicted in a hospital. Events similar to this are said to have occurred throughout the medieval age, including the 11th century Kolbrick, Saxony, where it was believed to be the cause of demonic possession or divine judgment. In the 15th century Apollonia, Italy, a woman was bitten by a tarantula, the venom making her dance convulsively. The only way to cure the bite was to shimmy and to have the right sort of music available, which was an accepted remedy by scholars like Kircher. Contemporary explanations included demonic possession and overheated blood. Okay, so some theories include food poisoning, toxic and psychoactive chemicals of some fungus. That seems to be a common thing actually. Okay. The Lancet, John Waller, argues that this theory does not seem tenable, as it is unlikely that those poisoned by ergot could have danced for days at a time. Nor would so many have reacted to the psychotropic chemical in the same way. The ergotism theory also fails to explain why virtually every outbreak occurred along the Rhine and Moselle rivers, areas linked by water but with quite different climates and crops. Another idea is stress-induced mass hysteria. This could have been a florid example of psychogenic movement disorder happening in mass hysteria of mass psychogenic illness, which involves many individuals suddenly exhibiting the same bizarre behavior. The behavior spreads rapidly and broadly in an epidemic pattern. This kind of comportment could have caused by elevated levels of psychological stress caused by the ruthless years, even by the rough standards of the early modern period. Rough years the people of Alsace were suffering. Stress-induced hypnosis on a mass scale. The inhabitants tended to be superstitious, and 7 other cases of dancing plague were reported by the same region during the medieval era. This psychogenic illness could have created a chorea, from the Greek word chorea meaning to dance, a situation comprising random and intricate unintentional movements that flit from body part to body part. Diverse choreas were labelled in the Middle Ages, referring to the independent epidemics of dancing mania that happened in Central Europe, particularly at the time of the plague. Wow. Wild, to say the least. Yeah. Alright, well, how cool is that, language explorers? Let's keep exploring.